Hello and welcome to Shri. Yes, my name is Shashank, and there is another topic for you. Hormuz on fire, EU and Japan enter war zone. So now there is another front opening. Now European Union and countries and Japan entering into this war. They are not going to fight with Iran, but they are going to secure the strategic areas, especially the Strait of Hormuz. They will ensure Strait of Hormuz is open. They will ensure that no escalation is going to take place, and also they will ensure energy supply. So this is a new update. But before we proceed to this article, let's understand it through diagrams. Now what is happening here? The European powers plus Japan, they are entering into war. What will they do? They will go to Hormuz. They will go to Hormuz. And what will they do with Hormuz? They will secure supply lanes. They will secure supply lanes. And by securing supply lanes, they will ensure energy security, energy supply and security across the world. Japan is also asked to clear the landmines that Iran has spread across the Strait of Hormuz. Right? Again, there is another angle to that. Japan and European Union, these countries are reluctant in joining. These countries are reluctant in joining Israel's war, now USA's war. Why these countries are reluctant? Because these countries were not consulted before war. These countries were not consulted before war. Now there was a communication going on between Prime Minister and Donald Trump. And according to this conversation, which says, according to this conversation available on YouTube and on social media, Japanese Prime Minister told Donald Trump that you didn't inform us. You didn't inform us. You didn't consult us before going to war. As an allies, you are supposed to consult the matter with us. But what Donald Trump said, that did you inform us before the attack on Pearl Harbor? Did you consulted us? Did you consult us before the attack on Pearl Harbor? And which was a shocking statement by Donald Trump, which is not expected from the head of the state or the head of the government. So, Japanese Prime Minister said that you didn't inform us, consulted us. You didn't consult your allies before going for this war. And then Donald Trump says that did you inform us before attacking Pearl Harbor? So this is in the news. This was a blunt attack on the Japanese Prime Minister. Now, Japan also says that after the reality of Japan is Japan has a pacifist constitution. Japan has a pacifist constitution. And why pacifist constitution? That after the World War II, after the Nagasaki Hiroshima incident, what Japan said? Japan abandoned nuclear weapons. They made a pacifist constitution. They ensured that they will have only that much of army or weapon system that is required to defend the territory of Japan. And by that commitment, by having a pacifist constitution, they are dependent on USA for their net security. But their constitution doesn't allow them to go for a full-scale military war, full-scale armed invasion. So this is what Japan has said, that we cannot go for the whole scale, whole soul war because our constitution doesn't allow us. And why? Because after World War II, Nagasaki Hiroshima incident took place. First, the Pearl Harbor took place, which forced the US to enter into the World War II. And after that, the nuclear bomb was used at Japan. Japan was completely destroyed. Japan surrendered. World War II ended, and Japan signed agreement with the USA. They surrender all their nuclear weapons, and they wrote a constitution which says, which asks them to become a pacifist constitution, means they will maintain only a bare minimum army, arms and ammunition and security forces, which is enough to maintain the territorial integrity of the nation. And that's the reason that in case of any aggression against China, by China or North Korea against Japan, they have to be dependent on USA for the net security. I hope this is clear. And apart from Japan, there are NATO allies as well. There are NATO allies. These NATO allies are in dilemma. These NATO allies are in dilemma. Dilemma for multiple things. First of all, there is a trust deficit. There is a trust deficit among the allies against the Donald Trump. Again, there is a resource crunch. There is a resource crunch after 4 years of Russia-Ukraine war. Again, this war is costing USA too much, approximately 1800 billion USD. 1800 billion USD has already cost, right? Again, European Union countries are energy starved nation. 40% of their oil comes from Russia, which is already under sanction. So they want to maintain peace and in Middle East so that energy security is not compromised, which is already compromised. Again, there was no consultation. There's no consultation from European Union members or NATO members before going to war. But now US has persuaded Japan and European Union countries to enter in this war, not for the war, not for the war exactly, but to control the sea lines of communication, ensuring the safe passage of oil tankers and ships, to ensure that the negotiation takes place. Right? So let's have a look at it. The concise and organized summary. Escalating global conflict. Iran-linked conflict has expanded into global geopolitical crisis. The Strait of Hormuz is already blocked. And the major power, US, EU, Japan, now directly involved in security and energy stabilization. Bache log, they are not involved into conflict. They are involved into energy security and energy stabilization effort. Now, Donald Trump has spoken to Sanai Takaichi and sought the mine clearance and protection of oil tankers at the Strait of Hormuz. Japan says Japan questioned lack of prior consultation and the Trump reference that did you consult us before attacking Pearl Harbor? And then Sana Takaichi was shocked. Now the Japan's pacifist constitution limits military role abroad. Japan doesn't have a constitution which allows it to attack. Now historical shadow, it was 7th December 1941 when Japan attacked USA. Japan attacked US military base, which is known as Pearl Harbor. US was not at all a part of this world war till that time. Before till 7th of December 1941, the world war was going on, and US was sitting across Atlantic Ocean peacefully. US was not at all interested into enter in this war, but Japan launched a preemptive strike and attacked Pearl Harbor, which was a military base. 25,000 casualties took place, 800 people got injured, and US was forced to enter into World War II. Now, aftermath, Japan was attacked. Nagasaki, Hiroshima nuclear bomb attack took place. Japan surrendered, war ended. All the nuclear weapons were surrendered to USA, and that's when Japan decided to go for a pacifist constitution. Relevance today, history shapes Japan's strategic restraint. But keeping in mind China's aggressive posture and North Korea's aggressive behavior in East China Sea, Japan is planning to change its constitution. Now, global energy and economic crisis. This conflict is disrupting the oil, gas, and trade routes. Joint Western response, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, and Japan, they will ensure secure sea lanes of communication using strategic oil reserves so that there is no oil price fluctuation across the world, and increase North Middle East production. Okay. Now, European Union dual crisis. European Union calls for no strike zone, oil, gas, water infrastructure. European Union was dependent on Russian oil for 40% of its oil need, but Russia is under sanctions, so they are heavily dependent on Middle East, and this war has created a crisis situation in Middle East. So they are facing energy crisis and refugee influx as well. Ras Laffan industrial city, which is the world's largest LNG export hub, which got destroyed. It supplies 20% of the global LNG supply, and India is in crisis situation because of that. India's impact, 50% of LNG import of India goes from Qatar, 90% LPG dependency on Middle East countries, and long-term contract till 2048, but this war has disrupted anyone, and there is an LNG crisis as well. Now, what are the options left with US military? They can block or they can control Hormuz and Kharg Island, and thereby they can corner Iran for diplomatic negotiation, but this may also backfire. Iran might retaliate angrily. Two scenarios: there will be stabilization of supply routes, or there may be prolonged war like Vietnam or Afghanistan. Now, what Gulf countries are thinking? Gulf countries are thinking about their dependency on US for their security. Now, because of their military bases in Middle East, these countries are bearing the brunt. So now they are thinking about detaching themselves from the US dependency and moving towards the new security alliance, or becoming self-sufficient in terms of security. So they're moving towards strategic autonomy, new alliances, and they're shifting from declining trust in the US security umbrella. This is it. The conclusion is energy plus geopolitics plus security crisis. This is the result of this conflict. Global cooperation is critical, and direct implication of India's economy and energy security is involved in this entire matter. So this is it in this article. Thank you so much. Wish you a wonderful day ahead. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.